Hi everybody, welcome to the first ActiveWoo Pro Tips video, and in this video I'm going to show you how to hide things like the have a coupon field. So you can see this has the has a coupon field in it, whereas if we go here, I'm going to try to put as many extra pro tips along the way as I can. For example, if you are unfamiliar with the browser Opera, as I was, it's got a really cool feature, which is that you can turn on this thing called the VPN, and you can pretend like you're in Canada or the United States or Germany. So if you do have a store that does things like multi-currency or needs to do different things if if the visitor is detected from Canada versus the US, for example, you can do that stuff in Opera really simply, which is pretty awesome. So in this case, actually I'm not hiding the coupon field, but I'm just hiding the returning customer field, and you can see that on this browser it's showing, and in this browser not showing. Also, you can see that I have this variation one. The first way I want to show you how to hide fields from your checkout, I think it's the best one because it's the split test way. So what you would do is you would split test something like this, and if it works, then you can implement method 2, which makes it permanent. So let's check out how to set up a split test on your checkout page, because this is super useful regardless of whether or not you're going to hide stuff, but you could split test like the image, having a headline or not having a headline, and coolest part about this is it requires no coding knowledge. So it does require a service called VWO. There's probably other ones that you could use or have heard of, but in this tutorial we're going to check it out using this service called VWO. So before I shot the video, I've used this on other things. To be honest, I've never used it on Woo. So I needed to set it up and confirm that it does work before I gave you the tutorial. So what I'm going to do now is pause the video, and I'm going to start from a fresh campaign so that you can see start to finish how we set it up. But at least in the end, you can see that it does work. Here we have the first variation. So split test means test the control against a variation. So here's variation. And that it's working, that it loaded the variation. And that'll make more sense in just a second. Okay, so first step is you have to get yourself a VWO account, and you can do so and get one for free. So you could even just do this, run the test, and then cancel it and never come back and use it again. So the first thing you do is you sign up and get your free account. The second thing you need to do is to install a little plugin so that the VWO code runs on your site. That's pretty easy too. So first pro tip, and also a shameless plug, is as many of you know, I love WP Engine, and one of the reasons I love it is because it's so easy to create a staging site, which is what I have here, and that's why I'm able to mess around with different themes, install plugins, and basically do stuff without having to buy a whole nother server and without risking messing up my own live website. So if you're not using WP Engine and you think, wow, this is a cool thing to have, it really is, as are their daily backups. And so there's a link on this page to sign up for WP Engine, and I appreciate it if you do want to sign up that you use the link, because I get just a tiny little thank you from them in my bank account. So anyways, let's go to the plugins down here, and you just install. So you can search for, I've already got it, so it is, let's see, this one, Visual Website Optimizer by this guy Andy Bailey. This is the official one. So you install it, and then you come over here to the settings, and then you click VWO, and you have to give it your account ID, which you find, let's see, you find that one right here in the main account. So you just remember that number, type it in here, hit Save Changes. I say go with the default asynchronous. If you really want to know the difference, you can click the help, but asynchronous should work for you. Okay, next thing you need to do is come back here, and you need to create a A/B test. So they've already got a couple examples for you, but we'll go ahead and create a new one. And so the first thing you need to do is test the URL, which is the checkout URL. Now, as you probably know, or what you're going to see in a second, when you first load up a checkout URL, it actually redirects you back to the cart if you don't have anything in your cart. So I'm not sure if it's going to do that because I've already been messing around with it, but if it does, I'll show you what to do. It's pretty simple. Nuts. Well, I've already got stuff in my cart, and so it loaded this up nicely for me. But let's say that it didn't load things up nicely and you just got directed to an empty cart page. Okay, what you got to do is down here you have this difference between design and navigate. So if it loads up your site, and you can see this is no longer my URL, this is the VWO URL. So VWO has hit my site and it's pulled my site into their editor here. It's now got something in the cart, and so and I can't navigate using the URL. So what you do is you just tick this little button, which is for navigate, and this should let me maybe hopefully bounce off of this page. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. And let's see. I don't want to do all these tips because I'm going to show you how this stuff works really quick. All right, so the site looks a little crazy right now, but let's see if I think these are all set up. Here's another pro tip. If you don't want people to go to the shopping cart page and you want to take them just directly to the checkout, oh, look at that. You also can put in a URL here. That's also another pro tip. Anyway, I was just about to say, and if you look at the ActiveWoo site itself, you can see this in practice. If you set the URL to basically, instead of when you create a button, you can just create the button link that it says add to cart equals, and then if you put the ID of your product, the product ID, then it'll automatically skip this page and just go right to it'll go right to the checkout. Actually, I think you have to do one extra thing. That'll be for another pro tip. Let's stick to the plan. Anyway, so when you first load this up, it's going to take you to your cart page. It's going to say your cart's empty. You can just click navigate, put something in your cart, go ahead and proceed to checkout. And then once it gets your checkout page loaded up, now you can switch over to design mode. So now you switch to design mode, and automatically you've got variation number 1 here. Whoops, we didn't go to the checkout yet. 1 second. Okay, here we go. So now we go to design mode. All right, coupon field. We're just going to click on it and just bye-bye. And my site is all guest checkout, and I'm working on and will soon release an ActiveWoo setup so that you no longer even need this. You can actually check everyone out as a guest and then later associate the order back to their customer user record. So they never have to log in to checkout. Oh, it's going to be so slick. So you'll be able to remove that too. And boom, now you've got your variation 1 with no promo codes using the, this is using the advanced recover cart. Super cool feature. So, but that's it basically. You just click next. We're done with removing the fields. How easy was that? Next up, we need to set the goal. And so your goal is the payment complete page. And I think that is, believe it or not, I can't even remember what it is off the top of my head. You might have to go through a purchase yourself, but I believe this is view order. It's whatever the thank you page is on your site, right? So check out view order is I think the one that it is on mine. And so that lets you know which one works better, right? So if they start the checkout page, they should end up on your thank you page. And so that's how you know who's winning, which one's sending more things. Yes, so the parameters down here, you should just follow the instructions here. I wish I had 30,000 visits, but I don't. So I don't know, I'm just going to pick some number. So let's say you had 5,000 visits. Now it's telling you how many weeks it's going to take before it could really do a 50-50 split test with a high degree of certainty. So what you can do is you can say, well, first of all, how much do you think your existing page converts at? If you don't know, just pick a number and it's going to tell you what your conversion rate is after a little while in the reports. So that's what's really cool about VWO is it'll do that. Then it would be like, well, you know, if you went from a 5% to a 6% conversion, like would that matter? Would that be, you know, enough to move the needle and make this a permanent change? Or would you need to see something more like a 50% boost in conversion? So the more drastic the change, the more quickly this thing's going to know if it's working at that level or not, right? So if you made this change and saw at least a 50% lift, it's going to tell you in 2 weeks if that's happening or not. If it's not doing 50%, maybe it's a 20% lift. It would still tell you. It would still start to give you some numbers, but it wouldn't necessarily be what we would say statistically significant, meaning it could be that, for example, if you're looking at it, if you wanted to know if you got a 20% lift, to know for sure if you got that 20% lift, if you get 5,000 hits to this page, not to your site, but 5,000 hits to the checkout page, it's going to actually take you 10 weeks to know that with any scientific certainty. The thing is, a lot of times with these stuff, so you can try quick learning, and so quick learning just means it's not quite as accurate, but it'll still start to show you, and because again, if one of the versions is working just like crazy gangbusters, then you can make a decision pretty quickly. Anyway, you can read more of their own documentation on these different settings and what they should do. So you click next, send 100% of this thing, and then that's it. Just hit finish, and that's it. Our campaign is rolling. Oh, I see code not installed here. That's probably not the right checkout, but you get the idea. You put in whatever your final checkout page is so that it knows the final view there. And you might actually need to check out all the way through while you're logged in so that it knows. So you don't need to worry about this code. It's already installed because we did that with the plugin. And yeah, the campaign's running now. You can go over here. And you could see, oh, we got to start it. So yeah, come over here, make sure you click the start, and make sure that it's running. Now, if it's running and you go back and test it and you're not seeing your changes, and you want to make sure, like, hey, did I really make those changes? Is that really happening? You can go to Settings and then Others, and then you will choose, let's see, Customize traffic allocation for each campaign. And then you could, for example, just for a minute, set 100% of the traffic to go to variation 1, just to make sure that your edit worked and that the fields are actually hidden. Then you need to, if you've been hitting it in the same browser, and don't forget to close this and then save this page. You got to do both, so don't forget to save. And then when you go back to your browser, you need to clear out your cache and your cookies. With Opera, I'm on a Mac, so it's Command-Shift-Delete, and that automatically brings up our settings page. I have this to clear since the beginning of time: browsing history, download history, cookies, cached files, and information. So clear all the browsing data. I use Opera for all my testing now because it's so convenient to do this stuff and just not my usual browser. And also I love that I can toggle the VPN on and off, stuff like that. So you'll know if it worked and it cleared out all your cookies and cache because it should clear your cart too. So now you can return to shop, add to cart, and proceed to checkout. And there we can see the fields all gone. I also actually went back while I had the video paused and added a little colon there just to be sure that I could see the difference in the different browsers to make sure that it was working. So yeah, that's a pretty simple way to hide those promo code and login fields. If you don't want them, get them off your checkout page. Test and see if it really lifts up your conversion. And if it does, great. Then you should move to the next step here, which I'll show you, which is how to get rid of the promo code field from maybe both the cart and the checkout field entirely. The fastest way to get rid of it is just to uncheck enable the use of coupons, and that just hides it, because if you're not going to use coupons, then you're not going to have the promo code field. The reason I didn't just start with that and say, hey, why don't you uncheck this, is because a lot of us do use coupons, or there's some other clever ways to sort of offer coupons, like that use URLs instead of requiring the customer to actually like type in the promo code field. So for example, there's some affiliate style plugins for WordPress where if you refer a friend, then you get a discount, that kind of stuff. And so for that, you don't necessarily always, sometimes you want to have coupons but not surface that field. So I probably should have, and maybe will in the text above this video, clarify that that's what we're doing. So anyway, you could always just disable that and not use coupons when and if you're not using them. That's the easiest thing. All right, next to that, we do need to do a little code, so I will show you that now. So the wonderful thing about WooCommerce is how customizable it is, and also how many helpful people there are out there who have already written the code for you. So even if you know how to write the code and you're just lazy and you'd rather just review somebody else's code and say, yep, that works for me, I'll just grab that and put it in, you can just do a quick Google search, which I did, which was hide the promo code field WooCommerce. And if you find anything that's on GitHub or that says a gist, then usually you'll come to a page like this, which just gives you the code. And then sometimes there's some additional comments. When you see some comments, it's probably a good idea to scan them really quick because, again, this code is 3 years old and WooCommerce is always updating. So there's no guarantee when you copy and paste code that it's going to work with the current version of WooCommerce. Again, if you have a staging site, you can always just test it, and if it works, great. If it breaks, then find some other code rather than try to figure out if has anyone else posted anything more recently that would work. So what I do is use a staging site. I click the raw button, come up here and copy that. And so this was to hide it on the cart page, and then this one's to hide it on the checkout, which is why I like this one, because you could choose to just take it off the checkout page but leave it on the cart. If you do have people who are using coupons, you can always just tell them, hey, put this, make sure you add this coupon on the cart page and then hide it on checkout. I'm going to hide it from both pages, so I copy it from here. And then there's a couple ways to do this. One is if your theme is editable from within WooCommerce, then you can come into here, Appearance and Themes, and then click on the theme details. I think, let's try editor. I think it's going to be in the editor here, yeah. And then you want to come down to your functions.php file, and then basically you can just scroll to the bottom of that file and just paste it in. And that's it. Now you'll notice that I didn't copy all of it. I actually didn't copy this first PHP part, and that would be like one of those little coding gotchas. This is already, my functions file is already, has the opening PHP here, and it's not been closed anywhere. And so I don't need that extra PHP. If I pasted in that PHP as well, it would probably break. So just a little, again, pro tip. Now if I get to the bottom of my PHP, my functions.php file, and I see this question mark, then yes, you need that. This says basically, I'm done giving you PHP code. This says, hey, look for some PHP code. So if you're like this, then basically the computer can break because it's saying, this is like, hey, look for PHP code, and well, we're already doing that. So anyway, you'll do that. You'll hit update file. If your web host allows editing themes. Again, do not do this on a live site. Please, please, please only do this if you have a staging URL. Doing this wrong and hitting update file, literally it could just break your, this page won't even reload. It'll just reload all white, and then your whole entire site is crashed. So don't do that on a live site ever. Hopefully you also have FTP access, and if you do have FTP access, then you would do something like this. This is FileZilla, and so you'd be just looking for your WP content folder, and you can either type it in there or you can kind of scroll down the list of stuff and look for it. Then you go to your themes, and in this case I was editing the 2017 theme, and then you look for the functions PHP, and then you open this, and you need to have a text editor to do this. I've already got a wonderful text editor called Sublime, and when you click View Edit, it's going to automatically just open that in my text editor. Now if you're smart, then what you'll do is you will take this file and copy it somewhere so that if you break it, should have said that before when you edit the thing here, smart move is to copy all that, paste it into some text editing file, and then make your changes, and then hit update file. That way if you break it, you can easily kind of go back to your backup of that. If you're using WP Engine and you break it completely, they also have daily backups, or you can even do a backup like right now and then that way you could just roll back. So again, using a service like WP Engine is kind of essential if you're going to have an e-commerce site that's even doing a couple sales a day. You don't want your site to be crashed when that sale could have come, right? So anyway, you can then edit your file like this. And so I've just pasted it in the bottom here. Oops, let's come back over here. So scroll all the way down to the bottom. All this code here is already in there by default. So come to the bottom. And nice thing about this text editor is it kind of gives you a little bit of a heads up. I know it good. I didn't paste the PHP, so there it is. See, if I had the PHP thing in there, it's the wrong colors. See, at the top of the file, it should be just white. So when it's not like that, it kind of lets you know, hey, that's wrong. So you can paste that in, and then you save it, and then when you go back to your thing, it'll tell you, hey, look, a previously open file has changed. Do you want to save that onto the server? You hit yes, and now boom, you've updated that on your live site. So that's it. 2 ways to hide the promo code field. A couple of other fun tips along the way, like using the Opera browser and the VPN. What else? Yeah, and then basically knowing about VWO. If this has been cool and interesting and useful to you, I would love it if you would leave a comment below. And for right now, I don't know if I'm going to do more of these pro tips. If nobody clicks and nobody cares, then obviously I'm not going to spend more of my time doing them. There's lots of other people out there who have great tips. For example, that WooCommerce Summit. So if you're not planning on attending the summit and you found this useful, then you should really attend the summit, because there's going to be a ton of other really actionable stuff in that summit. Maybe not so technical, but at least some of the things like, hey, you need to hide these if you're not using them, because it could be messing up your checkout. So a lot more useful tips like that are in the summit. Be sure that if you haven't registered yet, that you do click the link below this video to register for that summit to get more stuff like this. Leave me a comment if you want more pro tips from me, and perhaps make a request of something else. If you go to the summit and they talk about something and you don't know how to do it, maybe I'll start to create more of these tips specifically to help people, and maybe even to use ActiveWoo more. But again, if nobody cares, then I don't want to waste my time doing it. Thanks.